Round 8 and moving day for a lot of drivers here inside this very, very important circuit situated in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in amongst the favelas. And what a fantastic circuit it will prove to be for 46 laps today, just under qualifying right now here in what is your iRacing Grand Prix Series, streaming live on iRacing Live, brought to you by Racebot TV in just one moment's time.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
Qualifying currently underway here at Autodromo Jose Carlos pace, 4.31 kilometers, 15 turns, and 46 laps of racing. 2 laps of qualification right now. So important in his 24-car grid today. And you're watching this on Racebot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am hashtag Do You Mind Jake Sparey, joined alongside, as always, by Mr. Connery Maddick. Track conditions today, it's an incredibly hot one here today, Connery. 38 degrees on the track. We could be seeing pit stop strategy come into play. Jan Brezina in the 15. Drive to the line. Let's see what he can do right now. Answer is going to be on his first flying lap. A 1:12.9. That's not good.
No, not good at all for Jan Brezina. Only good enough for P number 19, and that is the last on the grid in terms of qualifying laps. We're still waiting for the likes of Giuseppe Ragusa, Mark Wilmington, Stefan Larkamp, Diego Hormilia, and Stefan Schmidt to get their lap times in, but they're quickly running out of time here. About 2 minutes and 38 seconds remaining, as Mark A. Wilmington actually did set his lap time. He's up into P number 12, solidly mid-pack.
Solidly mid-pack, number 3, Nicholas Rasmussen, Gap SRT, winner last time out, currently P5 at the moment here on this grid, making that big charge then to the line through the Arquibancadas, and now the run to that start-finish line, and it's not a lap time for Nicholas Rasmussen, shame for that, but Ricardo Orozco still on a lap time, 1,000th splits your top 2 at the moment. Now changed teams here, Ricardo Orozco, positive sim racing colours he's got as he rounds himself through Junsao, and now the run up here through the Desquita dos boxes, this left-hander, the next left-hander that people don't really remember, Arquibancadas, and then the run to the line for the number 1 machine, strongest iRacing in the field. Can he improve? No, he cannot, so Ricardo Orozco will not do any better right now, but Connery, Jaume Charot, currently P14, needs a bit of time here to get himself up forward.
Yeah, exactly. Number 16, Diego Hormilia, also comes across the line to complete his qualifying P number 18. It has to be for that particular driver. We're still waiting for the likes of Giuseppe Ragusa, Stefan Larkamp, and Stefan Schmidt as well to set their lap times, but Schmidt is just down on pit road, and I don't think that the number 23 machine will be doing a qualifying lap here, but we're going to be running out of time relatively shortly as Stefan Larkamp just rounds his way around the Pinarino up into turn number 10 of Victor Pato. and his first lap was invalid, and he gets a little bit of snap oversteer coming into Pico de Pato. That's going to lose him a couple of attempts, but let's see where he places himself on the run up towards Junsao.
Yes, and using all of the circuit then through this 90-degree left-hander. In English, you call it junction, but here, Junsao certainly going to be that charge and up the hill. You will be able to have DRS down this area of straight, and that's going to be crucial for moves into turn numbers 1 and 2, the center S, and then, of course, DRS into turn number 4. 1:12.5 for the driver of Stephen Larkamp. He goes only position number 18 overall on circuit. Everyone else has set a lap time here, and it is so tight at the top. Some timing screens are calling it equal, some timing screens are saying 1,000th of a second, but either which way you look at it, this is how the grid is going to look. Ricardo Orozco has stolen a pole position, the championship leader as well, doing a very good job. 110.937, 1,000th clear by my eyes of Michael Partington in the number 5 machine, 110.938. And Michael Partington starting for his new team of the Evolution Racing team. Carl Winkler in the 12 will start in position number 3. Carl Germanton will start from 4th overall. Nicholas Rasmussen will start on the 3rd row with Evan Lathoris alongside in the 13th and 6th. Matteo Calistani and Richard Arnaud 7th and 8th, with Matteo Ugolotti in 9th and Ryan Parkins rounding out the top 10. Dennis Branch will start P11 with Mark A. Warmington on row 6. Row 7, and Eric Andre of Real Championship Racing with Jean Macheros alongside. Christian Steele, the IndyCar specialist, in P15 with Gary Larson, 16th alongside Jan Brezina and Stephen Larkamp. Poor qualifying for Brezina today. Then you got Diego Jimenez Hormilia, Martin J. Smith, Ashley Howell, Daniel Cabanilas, and also the 2 drivers that failed to set a lap time, Giuseppe Ragusa, surprisingly, and also Stefan Schmidt as well. It's now 2 minutes to get yourself up onto the grid, and it's going to be a very worthwhile grid here. It's difficult for those drivers up at the front. They've got an uphill climb towards turn number 1. If you're back in about position 10, 11, it's downhill. It's an easy start, and that's what makes it so treacherous on the run towards turn number 1, which just arcs in center S. You've got so many great overtaking opportunities over 46 laps, but those tires, they're going to be screaming for mercy all throughout this day. They're going to have to be dealing with those hot temperatures here today. That is going to be very difficult. Also worth noting, we've got a very strong wind, 19 kilometers an hour from the north. That's going to really be affecting drivers in the way that they work. It's a crosswind across both straights here today, and that's going to be so difficult for drivers to really use. They're going to have the cars pulling a little bit to the right-hand side or the left-hand side, respectively. But with the last few vehicles getting up onto the grid, 46 laps of action then, and it's all on Orozco at the front of the field, hometown boy. And let's get ourselves underway. It's not the best of starts there from the second row from Carl Winkler. Rasmussen gets a good one. Stunning start from Ricardo Orozco, 3 wide into turn number 1. Little bit treacherous there from Michael Partington trying to get through, but for the time being, we're all safe through the center S. No real dramas for anyone to talk about, but Orozco instantly clear at the front. Partington now under pressure, using the toe. Nicholas Rasmussen now trying to go to the outside at the Esquina de Lago, but can't quite make the move. Side by side behind us, Calistani and Evan Lathoris going together now. Germanton, who didn't have the best of start, side by side, almost 3 wide. They're going to go. Connery, it's a great start.
Absolutely crazy start, but an absolutely great start as Ugolotti and Germanton head side by side through turn number 7, still side by side going through turn number 8, but Germanton's just going to have to surrender that position for now as they go single file through the middle sector. Ricardo Orozco is absolutely off and away. Look at how much of a gap he's made already. 2 seconds the gap at the lead right now. Side by side action between 15 of Jan Brezina and Giuseppe Ragusa. Of course, Ragusa had that horrible accident in the final corner last time out at Indianapolis, and he doesn't want a repeat of that today. He tries to make an opportunity of it coming down into Junsao, but it's not going to happen for number 2.
No, he isn't, and he's going to have to wait then and try and fight his way through the field. We know how good he is at making positions, but 2 seconds at the front of the field, that's all you need to know about how Ricardo Orozco's broken away. He's already broken DRS and a little bit more, and be using that to his advantage here today. Battle going on though. Lathoris versus Kalistani for position number 5 out on circuit. No DRS yet. They'll get that next lap, but slipstream only on the run down into the Interlagos. Turns 4, turns 5. Very difficult 90-degree corners. So easy just to go a little bit too deep on the brakes, Connery, and it maybe not even enough at times. Now up here into this right-hander, Ferradura, the horseshoe, right-hander, and it's all about setting up that vehicle for one of two eventualities: top speed or really high downforce.
Yeah, exactly, and this is the sort of situation that where that really high downforce will help you quite a bit in these in this middle sector of all of these corners, and it's just Evan Lathoris still not able to get onto the gearbox of Kalistani. They're just falling back in that middle sector on the run up to Young Sao. And having a look down through the field, it's been a relatively clean race. Actually, the only incident of note that we've had is Richard Arnaud getting the slowdown penalty coming out the 10RSs, which has dropped him down the field from about P9 all the way down through the field to the back of the grid, in fact, because Stefan Schmidt is up one position on the timing screens right now. As we look at Evan Lathoris in the number 13, looking for an opportunity on Matteo Kalistani coming down into the center. S is still not getting it, though.
Still not getting it, but he's got DRS now here down this straight. Then the Reto Aposta, the run down in. He's tucked right underneath. Lathoris will move to the inside. No real fight back here from Kalistani, who'll look to keep it side by side through here, but isn't going to able to make that happen into the Desquita de Lago, and as such loses that position. And Richard Arnaud is into pit road. His game is done. His day is over, and the real championship driver, another poor performance from him today. He will not be very happy with this. Want to keep an eye out though lower down the field right now, because we've got Ragusa now trying to run into a few issues here. So Giuseppe Ragusa now starting to struggle. He's now behind Stefan Schmidt, and the replay here, oh, it's a horrible one up at Ferradura. He gets Brezina down the inside. There is contact, and he gets a long slide. In fact, he does tap the barriers there, the same barriers that Jarno Trulli hit in, I believe, 2009, Connery. So Giuseppe Ragusa now has to do it all over again.
Exactly, and this is similar to what happened last time out in Indianapolis. An early race incident has put the number 2, Giuseppe Ragusa, all the way down the field now, behind Stefan Schmidt in that P number 20. Well, what was P number 23 for Stefan Schmidt. Giuseppe Ragusa is now in P23. He has to do it around the outside on Schmidt there and gets the position done, but he's going to have to do that quite a few more times to get back up to where he was.
Oh, side-by-side battle here. Eric Andre and Diego Jimenez Hormilia down to the inside. They touch. He's going to push out the man wide. So there, the driver of Eric Andre is going to be now ducked here for Jaume Charot on the run-up to Ferradura. Not going to make that happen then. Into the long looping right-hander. Brezina takes a wide line. Try and open up that run in towards turn number 8, the Laranjina, and now through the Pinarino here, this long section, all stuck behind Dennis Branch, and we saw that in the last race, Connery, that we had. So very interesting, the battles between these two.
Yeah, exactly, and let's see who comes out on top this time as this little midfield train that we have going from about P10 down towards about actually the back of the grid. This train pretty much extends all the way down to as they head their way out of Sao now, and it's going to be maybe an opportunity again for Eric Andre on Hormilia, coming down the pit straight now, coming through the final corner, which is just a little kink in the road. Andre's going to have to harvest ERS though, and Hormilia will also get DRS as well. That'll help him just get himself in front and defend the position for turn number 1 10RSs.
Yes, and he'll have to have another opportunity, another stab at it, but in front of that, Kalistani side by side. Down to the inside goes Matteo Ugolotti, and he takes that position without any real worries at all in that battle going on for around P6, P7 out on circuit. Very good move, very accomplished move, but back behind that, and Eric Andre unable to make his way past Diego Jimenez Hormilia in these early stages, and the train certainly is formed right now, but Andre getting a great run here on Hormilia. He tried to throw the defensive line in, side by side. They'll stay then through this very tight and technical section on the outside, and Eric Andre trying to hold it around the outside. The real championship driver isn't going to be able to make that happen, so he'll have to sit and wait now for another opportunity to happen. And now, watch this train for position number 4, Carl Winkler now, the man under pressure with Evan Lathoris on a charge right now. Ugolotti, Kalistani, Germanson there, Ryan Parkins in there as well. Train from 4th back to 9th, Connery, and it's looking really scrappy.
Very scrappy indeed, but that is par for the course with races at Interlagos, as in Eric Andre and Hormelius are battling again, and this time Eric Andre is going to be through, but will it be a reply from Hormelius? Coming down to turn number 1 as Andre pushes wide, has to go on the grass and has to rejoin very, very treacherously there, right in front of Brezina. Brezina had to get on the brakes, and now Brezina can have an opportunity at passing here. Defensive inside line via and Eric Andre has to be, but then it's Jan Brezina just stealing it off him, coming down into the Interlagos, and that is Eric Andre losing 2 positions in only a couple of corners.
Yes, and he's struggling now on his tyres because he had a big oversteer correction heading through to the Interlagos, so he's got to cool those tyres down on a very, very hot surface. Once you start heating them up in one area, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas start to become a lot more difficult for an Eric Andre as Jean Michel, Gary Larson, Marquis Walton, Christian Steele all behind here, all working to try and get themselves into a position where they can fight at the front of the field. The gap has stabilised at 2.1 seconds between Ricardo Orozco and Michael Partington here today. So these two drivers who have been very impressive all season long, they are matching each other lap for lap for lap. But right now, Carl Germanton under pressure. Ryan Parkins closing right in on the run into turn number 1. Late on the brakes, and what a move that is. Down to the inside, Ryan Parkins up into position number 8.
Yeah, fantastic move for the number 18. Got the overspeed, even though his DRS was negated by the fact that Carl Germanton also had DRS, and just finished that move on the brakes coming down into the center S is an absolutely textbook move for the number 18, as Val is still going on ahead of them though between Uglotti and Calastani, but I think he's just pulling away just a little bit for now.
Yes, he is. Giuseppe Ragusa looking down to the inside of the driver of Gary Larson, who got all out of it there down into the Interlagos. He got really close on the brakes and decided to bail out of the corner. Didn't want to risk running into the back of the driver of Christian Steele. So very, very good driving heads up from Gary Larson. Decided to take the lesser of 2 evils in that situation. But now Ragusa and Steele will be looking to go at it together. But in front of that, Brezina versus Hormelia right now. Hormelia holding that defensive line nicely through to the Bica de Pato. Now through Magulo right now, this long left-hander which really tests the grip of any form of vehicle that you put around it. And now through Junsao, and now the run up the hill, and Hormelia has got really not much to work with. Look at the overspeed Brezina's going to have. Moves to the outside, the block thrown straight back to the inside, looking to go to the pit wall and a little bit more. Down to the inside, DRS wide open for Jan Brezina, and down to the inside and takes the position. Lovely, lovely working move from Brezina.
Yeah, exactly. Hormelia using the only courteous one defensive move there, coming down the pit straight, and just lets Jan Brezina just gets himself by there, and there's not going to be another opportunity to repass for Hormelia coming down into the Interlagos. But that was a good pass indeed for that particular driver. As coming through the rest of the field, though, is still very, very close between the likes of P number 5, Evan Lathoris and Matthew Ugolotti. As meanwhile, Brezina just has a little bit of a moment there. I just haven't looked back at this one. Yes, he was actually going really, really wide coming through Ferradura. Just didn't get that car slowed down, went out onto the grass there and lost the position to Hormelia again. So he has to do it all over again, Jake.
Yes, and this is holding everyone up and allowing Dennis Branch maybe a chance to break away then in this second pack. That is all scrapping it out for the last spots inside the top 10, top 15 right now. And Hormelia will be the bottleneck that the driver of Jan Brezina will try and get past a second time here. Right down to the inside yet again. And again, nothing Hormelia can do about it, because Jan Brezina for the second straight lap makes the move down into turn number 1 and makes it very, very textbook there. Great work. But look at this battle going on. Ragusa down the inside of Mark A. Warmington, the blue flag racing driver, had nothing against him. And you can see right now in front of that, Hormelia's not done. He'll have DRS now, or try to have DRS on the run down in. They switch the beams right now into the Interlagos. To the outside goes Hormelia, and they leave just enough room, and Eric Andre waiting, but Hormelia, what a move around the outside.
An absolutely fantastic dogfight between these two drivers, and I don't think Jan Brezina's finished yet, as he has a look for the inside line coming into Ferradura. Not going to get it though, and not going to get the move done coming into turn number 8 either, as this is all stacking up the drivers behind them, the likes of the 10 of and Eric Andres behind here, and Gelmas Girote and Giuseppe Ragusa as well, all on the back of this train, because Jan Brezina and Hormelia just keep swapping positions. They can't sort it out between themselves.
No, they can't, and that's going to be a big, big battle to deal with. Ryan Parkins closing in on Matteo Calistani, though, for position number 6, out on position number 7 even, out on circuit, on the brakes into turn number 1. No, not going to happen just yet. This middle pack here, just battling it out for P3, P4 onwards. Side by side, though, Hormilia and Brezina again. Brezina now on the inside, trying to play defense here with Hormilia, and he gets that one then through for a third straight time, but in front of that, Branch making a big error through turn number 1, and that's going to allow the driver of Brezina through, allow the driver of Hormilia through, allow an Eric Andre through. A big mistake from Dennis Branch, and he was all on his merry lonesome.
Yeah, exactly, and I think the 16 of Hormilia was compromised more by Dennis Branch having a little bit of moment than Jan Brezina has, because Jan Brezina has now developed a gap over Hormilia, so I think that this position is going to stick right now, at least for the next few laps, and it just allows this little mid-pack train that we have going on here to just sort themselves out and spread themselves out just a little bit as they head their way through the Pinarino. And I think Eric Andre also has a good opportunity on Hormilia here now as they head their way down into turn number 10, side by side behind between Ragusa and Dennis Branch, though, and actually that's going to be Ragusa getting through on Branch there and improving his position yet again after what was a very, very terrible start for Ragusa.
Yeah, beautiful down the inside, and that was a very, very accomplished move. One that he will be very happy with as now they make their run down towards the Anki Bankadas, and now the run towards the center S of turn number 1. Hormilia under pressure this time from an Eric Andre looking down to the inside. He gets the nose in. They both have a twitch. After you, sir, no, after you. And in the end, they're going to hold position. And now Ragusa will want a piece of the action in the Thrustmaster Movano machine just behind him, looking to get himself now plus 11, plus 12. But here comes an Eric Andre. No, he has to back out of it. Ragusa now maybe to look to the outside. No, he's not going to be able to make that move happen either. So these three now tripping each other up because they are scrapping out so hard. Andre looking for it, has to go to the outside then on the run to Ferradura. Very late defense from Hormilia there in that situation, and they are leaving everything on the circuit and just a little bit more right now here, Connery.
Yeah, exactly, and I think Hormilia twice in a row was it a very, very late defensive block to block one of the runs that an Eric Andre had, and Eric Andre still can't find a way past coming into turn number 10. And you have to remember that Giuseppe Ragusa is here and is very, very quick as well. So this may be a very, very interesting. Maybe we'll see some even more scrapping here as they head their way through Yunsao. And who's going to get the run coming down the pit straight? It is going to be an Eric Andre. He'll have the DRS as well when that comes into effect. Goes towards the inside, and I think this pass is going to be done even before the break-ins. And look at the overspeed that he has here, and he just needs to get the car stopped. 3 wide coming down into turn number 1, though. There's Giuseppe Ragusa out of pretty much nowhere, overtakes both cars in the same straight, and Eric Andre did get past Hormilia, but wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Double toe in play from Giuseppe Ragusa, and he just used everything and a little bit more to his advantage. Saw the door was open and forced his way straight through. Giuseppe Ragusa now up into position number 11 overall. Time to chase down Jan Brezina here to really get yourself going forward in this event. Let's focus though further up through Matteo Calistani versus Matteo Ugolotti. Ugolotti falling back a little bit here in this battle between himself and Evan Lathoris. Was 9/10 of a second the last time they were across the line, and in fact Lathoris now, who had that gap pretty stable towards Carl Winkler, is now looking to push on Carl Winkler and make his way through sooner rather than later. This train going on for P4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Ryan Parkins on the back of this one as well into turn number 1. The center S not going to happen here, but that's been the case. Everyone's got DRS on each other, Connery. They're negating each other.
Exactly. The only driver in this train that doesn't have DRS is the course sim racing driver of Winkler right at the front of it, and he's not really going to be coming under threat from Evan Lathoris because Lathoris is so far back. Having looked back through the field, though, Dennis Branch, I believe, having a couple of issues, or is he down? Yeah, he's down onto pit road. In fact, I think, Jake.
Yeah, Dennis Branch there with damage then, so he'll have to convert to the one stop if he can fix that damage in time. And for Dennis Branch, just looking at just exactly what is going on with him, it looks like not much going on there. A long stop it will be for Dennis Branch. Not at all the day that he was hoping for after being up inside the top 10. But Ugolotti will focus on here in the 14 because now Calistani has a real opportunity if he can just hook up Junsao correctly. Answer is he gets an okay-ish run, but Ugolotti is a lot better up the hill, but now close enough maybe for a late charge down the second half of this straight. DRS will be open for the driver of Matteo Calistani, and closing, but the DRS negation from Lathoris ahead, again, unable to make that move. But here is the second opportunity that drivers get here today, Connery, especially for Ryan Parkins behind, who gets a big slide through turn number 2, trying to use it to their advantage, get themselves the run into the Descida del Lago. And again, Parkins has a little look, but decides, no, I'll wait for another time. It's lap 14 of 46, not lap 45.
Yep, and these drivers really are closing up together. These three drivers would be number 6, 7, and 8, as Ryan Parkins did close up under the brakes coming into Ferradura, not able to make any opportunity of it, coming down into the slow speed middle sector now. Still no gaps appearing for any of your drivers in this mid-pack train. We also have a train at the back of the field for what is going to be P at number 16 and back, which has actually been absolutely fantastic. Racing contained within that train as well, but our main focus right now is up the field.
Yeah, it is right now, as those battles are continuing in the middle of the pack, but we're focusing on this one. Ugolotti, Calistani and Parkins then for 6, 7 and 8. In fact, in front of that, the driver that's being reeled in is Nicholas Rasmussen of the Gap SRT number 3, because Carl Winkler, 131, difference 112.8, 3/10 of a second here. Phone goes off here in this situation, so now we got in this situation there, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, a difference of 1.3 seconds going on in the space of just these drives that are going on here, lap 15 of the event, and now Ryan Parkins looking close, unable to make that happen.
No, he isn't. And meanwhile, Romilia in a battle with what was the car of Christian Steele there. And Steele actually improving his position coming down into turn number 1 with the help of the DRS and with the help of a little bit of a late braking move as well. Steele moves his number 4 machine up a position. And let's see if Romilia can do any reply coming down to any of the passing zones on this track. But it looks like that car is very, very twitchy, especially coming through the Descida del Lago, just seen.
Yeah, certainly is, and through goes the driver of Giuseppe Ragusa on Lambrusino as well. So now the Ragusa from 23rd is up inside the top 10 plus 13. Biggest moves and shakers in your field right now, and you will see Rasmussen is up 2. Got drivers like Evan Lathoris up 1. Ugolotti is up 3 at the moment, with the likes of Calistani now looking to close down that gap, but again, unable to do so here. And you talk about the likes of, say, drivers like Ryan Parkins also up 2 positions. This middle pack train, they are stuck here. Maybe strategy now comes into play. The fact that you can make that pit stop and hopefully get yourself through. Battle lower down, Ashley Howell in the 24 against Daniel Cabanelli and Calistani, and Parkins, though, side by side. We'll look at that one first and foremost, because Calistani loses out there. Ryan Parkins, lovely down the inside, and he forced himself to go late on the brakes. Last of the late breakers, too late was the driver of Calistani.
Yeah, and on the outside line there at the Descida del Lago, you're at such a disadvantage to any passive move coming down your inside that Maddick Calistani pretty much had nothing he could do there but let Ryan Parkins through, and then maybe have a reply somewhere else on the circuit. But right now, Ryan Parkins up yet 1 more position, up +3 for day. And actually, Ashley Howell, number 24, around in the middle of the track. That's very, very dangerous indeed. I'd recommend taking the tow here. Ashley, he gets that car going. But what has happened here to Ashley Howell? He was coming out to the Descida del Lago, coming into in towards the Ferradura, and the car just breaks away from it.
Yes, it did, and he's so lucky that everyone else got around him. He was spread eagle across pretty much the entirety of the circuit. So Ashley Howell gets himself going again. Small tap on the barriers, but that won't hinder him too much in terms of this one. So that's a scary moment that he's managed to avoid in this situation. So he is a lucky lad in that respect, but now we need to focus on this one here. Marque Warmington closing in on Diego Jimenez Hormilia. This is the position number 14 on circuit, down to the inside at turn number 1. And, well, thank you very much. This is the driver of Marque Warmington. Hormilia is going backwards, Connery.
Yeah, exactly. He did so well holding his position at near the front of the field, but now those tires just going away from him, and the other drivers are just coming through him, as actually Hormilia has the DRS coming down into the Descida del Lago. Still not able to make any opportunity of it, though, coming down into there. And let's see where Hormilia, how Hormilia plays his cards right now, because his tires are going away from him. Perhaps he had a fantastic start that put him up through the field and not able to defend his position from any of the faster drivers. As we have a look towards Ryan Parkins now, as he maybe has an opportunity coming down into turn number 1 on the likes of Matteo Ugolotti. Has looked at that, look at the overspeed he takes coming down into turn number 1. Doesn't get it finished on the brakes though, or does he? Only just makes the apex before Matteo Ugolotti does, and he's up 1 position.
340 kilometers an hour down into turn number 1 on the brakes. Good move. But Ugolotti has a big moment on the curb and has to avoid it, almost collecting that wall. It creeps up on you really closely, but it has dropped these guys back a second, 2 seconds even from Evan Lathoris. That's crucial in terms of this battle because no DRS now available for Ryan Parkins. If Ugolotti can just hold it together as he goes deep into Ferradura, he's got a chance to come back at it. Pit stop window, you could argue, is around about open around this time, Connery, and anyone who is struggling on the tyres, maybe Calistani, you talk about the likes of, say, Hormelia, they come in, get fresh tyres, get back out again. That's going to be so crucial for their long run pace.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the most of your drivers will stick to what is the usual no-stop strategy here in the Grand Prix Series with these not full-distance races. And of course, we have a couple of those coming up. Well, next week, in fact, we have a full race at Spa, and then we also have full races at both Suzuka and what is going to be Monza for the finale, which will be absolutely fantastic, as Evan Lathoris and Carl Winkler are very, very close together. Lathoris had an opportunity coming down into San Reses, has an opportunity coming out of the Curva del Sol here, but has to back out, but he will get DRS to try and recover something here. Going to go to the inside line for the Descida del Lago, and I think Carl Winkler broke early there just to let that pass happen quicker.
Yeah, and into position number 4, Evan Lathoris on a charge, looking at Nicholas Rasmussen potentially as the next big target, and Larson now running into big issues, and that is a very odd place to have an instant around the Anki Bankadas, and well, he gets himself then in that tow, and he loses the back end with the DRS potentially, and he actually loses it coming down onto pit road. The lucky factor for him as he's crabbing his way onto pit road now is the fact that he can actually get a stop, but if he was on the other side of that retaining wall, Connery, it would be the longest lap in the world for him.
Yep, exactly, and well, the DRS activation point is where the pit lane marker starts, like the divider in the track that decides whether you're coming down pit road or not, and it just dips away there as you come across that final little kink in the straight, and you have DRS open at this point, and it's very easy to see how the car can get very unsettled indeed coming through there, which is why some drivers actually prefer to open their DRS just after that little turn in the straight instead of before, because of the dangers that poses. And Gary Larson, as a result, goes for a spin down pit road.
Yeah, the Ilka Harpala effect then in full swing. Calistani versus Ugolotti, P7, P8 out on circuit into the Descida del Lago they go, and Ugolotti just holding on to things for the moment. Calistani behind, trying to just hold position here, trying to hold face and hold station, and he's doing a good job of things at the moment here as they run nose to tail in this battle, but further back, got likes of Hormelia now and Jalma Giroux trying to close down in that gap. This is for P15, P16 out on circuit, and again, Hormelia is just dropping off the pace of everyone. He's doing 114s compared to the 113s of everyone else around him, Connery.
Yeah, and I just think that's because those tyres are absolutely destroyed, shall we say, on Diego Hormelia's car, as he had trouble getting the car turned in there coming into Laranja and Ferradura, and you have to wonder if you were Hormelia right now, do you convert onto the one-stop strategy instead of the no-stop strategy, because those tyres are terrible right now, and we're not even halfway through the halfway distance right now. So do you come down for the one-stop? I definitely would.
I definitely would, but through goes Calistani on Ugolotti then for position number 7, but Ugolotti is not done, tucked in underneath the toe, looking at maybe the Descida del Lago with slipstream, DRS available down to the inside, looking for the 1-2, Parkins through in front on Winkler as well, and Ugolotti can't get the move done. Ryan Parkins there, fantastic move from him, down to the inside again, and he makes that look like an art form, Connery.
Yeah, an absolutely fantastic pass from Ryan Parkins there. Adds another position to his positions gained tally, which is up to 5 right now. Of course, qualified in that 10th position up to P number 5 right now. The biggest mover in your field, though, is that number 2 machine of Giuseppe Ragusa, up 13 positions from pretty much the back of the grid but one.
Martin J. Smith then exits pit road there after his first stop of the day. The number 9 machine started 20th on the grid, so long way to go. At the front of the field, Ricardo Orozco has a 4.7 second lead now over Michael Partington. He's just been plugging away, Connery. Just good lap after good lap after good lap. There's not much you can really argue against the way that he's been driving at this stage.
No, he can't, and he's running laps about 2 to 3/10 of a second faster than Michael Partington pretty much every single lap, and that's also half a second faster than P number 3. So Ricardo Orozco is absolutely flying at this stage. He is the championship leader in the iRacing Grand Prix Series right now, and maybe, just maybe, he's setting himself up for a run in the Pro Series to try and get into the World Championship Grand Prix Series. And that'll be absolutely fantastic to see for Ricardo Orozco, and that's actually a PSR paint that I'm seeing on his car right now. I hadn't really registered it in my brain right there, but he looks like he has moved teams to PSR from TNT Racing.
He certainly has, and that's a big, big scout for Positive Sim Racing when they needed it. Christian Steele versus Eric Andre. Steele's gone through at turn number 1, but now Eric Andre, who has been struggling a little bit here today in the real championship machine, is now back down to net even for his race so far. So no progress from Eric Andre, and he will be frustrated by that because he was expecting here today, Connery, to get at least 2 or 3 positions.
Well, he still has a position that he could take right ahead of him in the driver of Christian Steele. Of course, Steele is absolutely fantastic in the IndyCars, and just switching open wheel cars just for this week, perhaps just trying to have a little bit of a go at the McLaren MP430 as actually Christian Steele does pull the gap there in the last sector over Eric Andre. So Eric Andre is going to be in no man's land pretty quickly right now. Of course, no positions gained over his qualifying time, and some drivers won't be happy with that. Some drivers will be, as it's basically where you should be.
Yeah, it is where you should be, that you need to be battling on, but people want to make progress in this race, gain positions, gain headlines, gain storylines as well throughout the event. Keep an eye on Giuseppe Ragusa, 1:12.8, meet 1:13.2 with Carl Germanton in front. He's got 8 seconds to close down, but he will be looking to try and close that down a little bit. Hormelia, though, versus Girotte, the battle for P15, 16 out on circuit, still going, and Girotte now is struggling here in the dirty air. The dirty air effect coming into play, Connery. He's stuck within that really, really awkward 3, 4, 5/10 gap that no driver really wants to be in around a tight and technical circuit like Interlagos.
Yeah, and that just means that there's going to be absolutely no front grip pretty much for Jamal Mastroianni to work with, so maybe he decides to take a couple of different lines through the corners just to avoid the dirty areas. Actually, Hormelia had a little bit of a twitch there coming through Baker to Pato, and that's been a theme for Hormelia throughout the last around about 5 laps or so, because the tires are absolutely just screaming on that car, complaining so much. And Jamal Mastroianni may have an opportunity here coming down into turn number 1. He will be within the DRS zone, but is he a little bit too far back is the question that we have to be asking. DRS is going to be open for the number 19 machine. Will he make an opportunity of it coming down to turn number 1? Has a look, but backs out.
Yeah, backs out of it, thought better of it. And Eric Andre then, I believe, has just come down to pit road, so serving his stop, looking to get those fresh tyres back out and away. He'll go, and on that fresh rubber, Connery, he will be a very dangerous man compared to everyone else, because look at the drop-off on his lap times. You look at his opening laps, he was doing the likes of 113s, low 113s. He was actually dropping back towards the likes of 114s throughout that last stint. And, well, he's now getting those fresh tyres to go out and have another go. And with clean air, that's a very, very scary in Eric Andre.
Yep, exactly. Let's see how far he can come back through the field here on that one-stop strategy, which isn't the strategy everyone's going to go on. Of course, everyone will pretty much stay on the no-stop strategy, but it is a gamble to take fresh tyres and see how far you can make your way up through the field, which is exactly what Eric Andre is doing. His first target will be the number 23 of Stefan Schmitz, and then from then on forward, he just has to pass as many cars as he can, which is basically racing in.
Certainly is. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the 6 hours of the Glen is going on right about now. Cam and Alvin in the commentary booth taking the action for you there. Make sure you tune into that one after this broadcast, because that will be something surely to behold. Battle, though, Winkler versus Parkins. That one hasn't died down here for position number 5 overall, but crucially for Ryan Parkins, he knows that he's got to play defense on Carl Winkler. Winkler has been that mid-pack guy who has been a bit unlucky, but Parkins has made some great progress through this. He's now towards the end of the pit stop window. I doubt we'll see many more drivers come in and take those tyres, but right now you feel Parkins has got to get onto the back of Lathoris. He's 1.5 seconds back, and that's too far back for him if he wants to stay safe with Winkler behind.
Yep, exactly. I'll have a little bit of a look at the lap times as they come across the line. It's actually going to be Jan Brzezina and battling with Christian Steele there, and actually Jan Brzezina's off. And he's in the grass there. That was what's happened here. Actually, no, it wasn't contact with Christian Steele. In fact, he just had his own little bit of a moment there coming through the Pico Zapato. And oh, it was going so well for Jan Brzezina, up 6 positions on his qualifying. And his race has basically been ended there by that shunt into the uphill barrier. Heavily damaged front end.
Yeah, now down onto pit road, Jan Brzezina. Too much torque there in the machine and tearing damage as well. It's actually going down the front straight. Girote trying to go through on Hormelia. That one not going to work for now. Position 13 and 14 out on circuit. So Jan Brzezina's day could very much be done with steering issues and heavy suspension damage. That would be the last thing that they would want in that battle. But again, Winkler versus Parkins going on here. Exiting Junsao right now. Over half an hour's racing has scored complete then as they look to start lap 27 soon of 46. 19 laps to go. Winkler trying to close down that gap right now. But again, just isn't within that range. It's about 7/10 of a second back. And that's not going to be good enough here when you want to close down Ryan Parkins. Parkins, in fact, trying desperately to close down that 1.4 second gap to Lathoris. So they're all lapping very, very similar lap times. In fact, you have to argue that Winkler was the fastest man of the 3.
Yeah, 1/10 of a second faster than Ryan Parkins that last time by. But he's going to need a couple more tenths of a second to be in any position to challenge for P number 5 coming towards the end of this race. And, well, let's see if he can do that, Jake.
Yeah, we'll certainly see whether he can do that indeed. We're going to keep our focus then on Carl Winkler right now in towards turn number 7, and now this one, the Pinarino, turn number 8. Some of the circuit left-hander up the hill now, trying to get pace on to close down that driver of Ryan Parkins even, shall I say. Almost a Sparey isn't there, we just saw. But now Carl Winkler looking to just try and stay there, but he's now falling almost out of DRS range, and that's a very scary sight. And let's see if he can stay in it now. Raceport TV, fan immersion. 17 laps to go at Autodromo Jose Carlos pace right now, because we got ourselves still Carl Winkler holding on to the coattails of Ryan Parkins, just 0.8 of a second between the two of them, and Winkler desperately needs that DRS to keep in that battle for position number 5 out on circuit. Out in front, Ricardo Orozco opening up that gap to 5.8 seconds over the driver of Michael Partington, and it's been plain sailing ever since the drop of the flag for Ricardo Orozco, who has been uncontested all race long. And a little bit further back, you have the likes of Jaume Charot, who has managed to make his way through on Diego Jimenez Hormilia. But they have to be worried here in this situation, because Eric Andre is the man on the move here, looking to try and get himself through. Stefan Schmidt in the 23 is the driver next for Eric Andre, and the difference in times, well, that's about 0.9 of a second a lap. Connery, this is the P17 out on circuit.
And I think this will be over and done with relatively quickly for Eric Andre, with the fresher rubber, and Stefan Schmidt not really going to have anything to defend with as those tires just drop away getting into the latter parts of the race. But we'll just have to see how much of the defense Stefan Schmidt can actually put up here. He's been out there just solidly logging laps here. Maybe not the fastest driver on circuit, started in that last position, of course, but he's up a couple of positions with all the drivers having instants and some such. So he's up to P number 17 right now. Could be P number 18 if Eric Andre gets past him, but being the lowest iRacing driver but one in the field, that's an okay result.
It is an okay result, and you can see hard to the right-hand side goes the driver of Stefan Schmidt. He doesn't want to be any form of hindrance to Eric Andre, who's on the quicker tyres, and another little test in for the real championship driver. And Eric Andre almost making a meal out of it there as he makes his way through. Daniel Cabanillas is going to be the next driver in the 22 to try and get himself back into play. But that's the thing here, Connor. You've got to try and make positions one at a time. And even though you sometimes do get stuck in these races, you do have to make that push through.
Exactly, and especially since you've made that gamble as Eric Andre has with taking the fresher over, as pretty much almost no one else has. And you just got to make the most of it, because you're set in the decision right now. You can't reverse time and then not take tires in the pit stop. But he just has to make do with what he has right now. Meanwhile, that battle between Parkins and Winkler, the gap is just fluctuating. It's swinging to one driver, then the next as the lap goes by. Carl Winkler was faster by about 0.03 of a second last time by, and 0.03 of a second isn't going to be enough, especially when every other lap Ryan Parkins is faster than you.
Yeah, and you need to make time, really, and that's the case to be made, because Winkler's got to close in on the driver Ryan Parkins. He doesn't have DRS of Evan Lathoris in front of him, so he knows it will be easy pickings once he gets up to him within half a second. But the issue is he's got to get into within half a second, and dirty air affects very heavily, especially in the middle sector of the lap. But it's in those first two sectors of this lap, this sector and of course that sector heading towards the Desquita del Lago, where he can use the DRS to his advantage. Gap across the line, 0.8 of a second. Good response there from Ryan Parkins. 113 flat meets 113 flat, and ever so slightly quicker was Ryan Parkins on that occasion. But now the tyres are starting to go away, mistakes will start to be made, and Michael Partington is the driver who is struggling the most. Overall, 113.5 was his last lap time. He's got a gap of 7 seconds, Connery. It's got to be half a second a lap for Nicholas Rasmussen to catch, and Larkamp starting to struggle as well in the 11 machine. So we'll get a look and see exactly what happened there. And it's the same incident as Brezina. Too aggressive on the throttle coming off the exit, and he just has the slowest contact with the Armco I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like basically a mirror image of the incident that we saw earlier that you mentioned there. Just powered down way too early, and as the car was still turning as well, and it just smashed him into the Armco barrier. Heavy damage to the suspension on the driver's right-hand side of that number 11 machine, and actually he's going to bring it down pit road, and that's going to be the end of his race.
It certainly is. We have had retirements today. Richard Arnaud, Gary Larson, Martin Smith, Jan Brezina, Dennis Branch 2 laps down, and Larkamp looks to be the next name to be added to the dreaded list here in terms of that battle going on. But here's one going on. Battle for P11, Christian Steele versus Mark A. Warmington. And Warmington trying to close that gap down. Got it down under a second here against Christian Steele with the IndyCar experience. And Ugolotti now decides he needs to come down pit road. So Matteo Ugolotti, his tyres are gone here on lap 33. It's a 13-lap sprint to the finish for him.
Yep, exactly. I don't see any damage to that number 14 machine, and it's going to be a very, very quick stop, a scheduled, well, half-scheduled stop, shall we say, for Matteo Ugolotti. He made the decision to come in probably on that in-lap that he just had right there. So fresh rubber for Matteo Ugolotti, but it's well outside of the pit windows. He's not going to gain any, if much, benefit from this, with only about 13 laps to go for Matteo Ugolotti, and I think he just decided that he can't go on with those old tires any longer, otherwise he'd be buried in a tire barrier or an onco barrier somewhere around the circuit.
Yeah, and that's the last thing that people want. Steele, though, still holding position over Mark A. Warmington. That's very, very crucial, but up towards Carl Winkler. Not the best run there through Junsao that he had, and again, he's looking to try and use that pace to his advantage, but now he's dropping even further back in this battle with Ryan Parkins, and the gap across the line, well, now it's 9/10 of a second, and that's the very fringes of DRS for Winkler, and that is going to be an issue. I just want to keep an eye out again, though, on Michael Partington in the 5, 1:13.3 that last time by. Had lap traffic, that's half a second from Rasmussen, and that's good enough, Connery. That's good enough to close that gap down. Rasmussen could have P2 out of this.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Partington having major issues with his tires right now. I suspect there isn't any damage to that number 5 car. The side pods and front wing are all completely and utterly fine. It must be just excessive tire wear for Michael Partington that has meant that he's a couple of tenths of a second off per lap, even half a second at times, and this has put him under threat from the likes of Nicholas Rasmussen. And I hope Rasmussen realizes this, that P2 is on the cards right now, and he's going to go all out towards the end of this race with about 11 laps to go.
Yeah, and a big push is on for Nicholas Rasmussen, who needs to find that time at around 5/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second a lap. He's got to close down 6 seconds. It's a better lap time, though, from Michael Partington. It's a 1:13 flat, same as Ricardo Orozco, who had traffic to deal with on that last lap, and Rasmussen, in fact, slower, so I don't think it will be caught. Maybe a mistake from Partington or a huge slew of traffic could change that battle then at the front of the field, but we have to keep an eye on this one. Steele versus Warmington. This for P11, but behind that, Hormelia under pressure from the charging and Eric Andre here of the Real Championship Racing Team, because now the 10 looks maybe at taking that position away. 1:12.9 beats 1:14.9. He's 2 seconds a lap quicker, and if he's careful, he might even get Jaume Schroet, who's been pulling away about 4 seconds. So here's the run from an Eric Andre, tucked right underneath, much better traction coming out of that corner, and now DRS will be available for him when he crosses the marker, but using the toe already and the DRS available to him, now he gets the DRS, now he gets the overspeed 340 Ks here as he heads himself through on the brakes into turn number 1, and he tries it now around the outside at 2 is dangerous, but he's holding on here as Hormelia. Great resistance.
Yeah, fantastic defensive work on what is 36 lap old tires versus, well, this is very much younger tires. As around the outside he'll have to be for around the Interlagos for Eric Andre, and a little bit of contact coming off the corner, but lucky to keep both drivers on the racing surface there, and that was a very, very scary moment for both drivers involved. And Eric Andre still can't find the gap coming into Ferradura, and well, he's has to get in a couple more positions to make this one-stop strategy work, because he was in around about P13 when he came down and made that stop, and he's in P15 right now, P14 looking likely right now, but he just can't find the gap even with the older tires that Hormelia has.
Yes, and he just needs to find enough through that corner, and maybe he's got to be careful about how that vehicle is now going to respond. He's already had contact. He's lucky that there's no damage on that machine, but he knows that he can really close down that time if he needs to. Ugolotti, though, has gone purple as he looks to chase down Giuseppe Ragusa 10 seconds down the road. Here comes Andre, though, down to the inside for the second straight time. He's going to pinch him a lot harder down onto the outside. Almost a half spin there from the driver Hormelia, who tries to come back at him, but an Eric Andre finally gets that position. But now, here's the big issue, because here will be some DRS for Hormelia, because he is behind in this situation. He'll look to close in, defensive line taken to the outside to try at the Skid of the Lago, but no, not going to happen at 4 and 5, and an Eric Andre is finally through.
Yeah, and I think an Eric Andre is going to be off and away with those fresher tires right now. It was a good effort for Hormelia to try and defend that position, but it was pretty much inevitable that an Eric Andre would get past there.
Yeah, Marque Warmington even that we'll try and look at the moment. Christian Steele just seems to get a very good run coming out of that Bico de Pato, and it's struggling here for Marque Warmington because he just falls back half a second in the final stages. It just seems that the vehicle maybe is geared up for those straights and not for those long sections of sweeping slow corners, Connery.
Yep, that definitely seems to be the case, as the lap time difference between Christian Steele and Marque Warmington last time by, and it was Christian Steele going about 4-5 tenths of a second faster that last time by. So Christian Steele trying to break the DRS, and Marque Warmington still has the DRS coming down in towards the Interlagos, but he's right on the edge of losing it.
Yeah, he is right on the edge of losing it, though, but battle for P3. Rasmussen versus Lathoris now, and Nicholas Rasmussen didn't have the best of laps last time, lost tenths of a second to Evan Lathoris. Lathoris now within that 1 second window, and in fact, he closes down another 3/10 of a second on the Gap SRT driver. And how many times do we have to say it, Connery? Rasmussen is one of the most difficult men to get past. Evan Lathoris needs to get there and needs to make it quick because he doesn't have long. When he crosses the line next, he'll have 7 laps to make the move on the driver of Nicholas Rasmussen.
Yeah, Evan Lathoris having an absolutely fantastic drive here at Interlagos. I think this is one of his highest, if not the highest, potential finishing position that he's had in a broadcasted race here on Racesport TV in this series. And if he can get onto the podium, that would be absolutely fantastic indeed as well. And he's catching Nicholas Rasmussen right now by about 3/10 of a second a lap, so he'll be in position to make a pass of it coming into the last couple of laps of this race. But as you mentioned, Nicholas Rasmussen, his defensive driving is absolutely exquisite, so it will be very, very tricky for Evan.
It certainly will, as he rounds himself through Jun Sao, looking for that run up towards the Vesquida dos boxes and the Arquibancadas as well. And that gap at 7/10 of a second looks to have remained that way. The dirty air effect coming to play through the midsection of the lap. And as they cross the line, the difference is 1:12.8 meets a 1:12.8. Rasmussen responded, but so did Lathoris at exactly the same time. They are both pushing. Behind that, though, Giuseppe Ragusa closing down in on Kyle Germanton as well. So great battling that's going on, and Carl Winkler close as well to Ryan Parkins. We got some great 2-car scraps going back from P3 all the way back to position 9.
Yep, exactly, and that's the couple of battles that we have to keep an eye on coming into what is going to be 6 laps to go next time by. As Ricardo Roscoe had to deal with a little bit of traffic in the form of Cormelia and others there, like Stefan Schmidt as well, getting a little bit in the way, but Ricardo Roscoe has a major gap over P number 2 right now. He doesn't have to worry about. Meanwhile, Marque Warmington making the pass coming down into turn number 1 over Christian Steele, and Christian Steele had a terrible center S's as well there. Here's the replay of that pass coming down into turn number 1, and it's basically a textbook DRS and finish it on the brakes pass.
Yes, and Christian Steele, nothing he can argue against that one. He will lose that position and be very frustrated that he lost that position as well. So there will be a little bit of discussion after that race on whether he could have done even more right now. But for the drivers of Evan Lathoris, he's still trying to close down that gap. But now he is struggling here. Half a second slower on that last lap compared to Rasmussen, who was only 4/10 of a second slower. Rasmussen is just doing enough right now, and they know Michael Partington, any mistakes from him in these final few laps, and that could be enough to take P2 away as well. So Rasmussen now under pressure. Lathoris trying to close down that gap into Ferradura, the horseshoe right-hander, and up the hill, and now onto this mini plateau as you head down and up again, looking towards the Pinarino. Again, Connery, Lathoris is close, but he just seems to be unable to follow in his middle section of the lap, but he's looking a lot better than he was a lap ago.
Yeah, he's definitely struggling with the dirty air here, because in clear air he was catching by a couple of tenths a lap, and now he's stuck in the wake of Nicholas Rasmussen. He's just not, the car's just not performing as well as it was, as actually Giuseppe Ragusa. The pass down the inside there on Carl Germanton there, coming into what is the corner of the Bico de Pato there, and it's a fantastic move down the inside there. Perhaps a little bit late for Giuseppe Ragusa.
Oh, and Evan Lathoris turned. Evan Lathoris with a half spin into turn number 1 and has the opportunity gone. Sorry to cut you off like that, Connery, but Evan Lathoris, he decided decides to back out of it heading into turn number 1. And, well, he just got a little bit too close, a little bit too greedy, and now he's dropped himself back a second and a half. That's exactly what happens in this situation for the likes of drivers like Evan Lathoris when they really, really have to struggle during an event. Evan Lathoris now back a second and a half, and a big, big shame for him in his battle and his quest for the podium.
Yeah, and I think Evan Lathoris was in two minds about that pass, because the pass was there. He could have gone very, very deep on the brakes down the inside instead of following right behind, but he backed out the move at the last minute, just locked the brakes coming down to turn number 1. As we have a look at P number 5, in fact, as Ryan Parkins and Carl Winkler, they are very, very close indeed. Carl Winkler had the fantastic lap last time by, caught 0.2 of a second, and now he's poised to make an opportunity coming down into turn number 1 if he gets a good gun shout, which when he does, he actually equalizes the exit speed there of Ryan Parkins, but he will have the DRS, he will have the slipstream, but is he close enough?
Is he close enough is the question as they cross the line. 4 laps to go of this event, and oh, he had a look there, a mini look there, did Carl Winkler. He wants to make it more decisive. He has the ability to do so here. Out of this corner, he doesn't get the good run though. Out of there, he was far too much aggressive on his turn-in through the second part of the CNRS, and as such, he loses that advantage compared to Ryan Parkins. Winkler will have to wait for yet another opportunity. 1.6 seconds now the gap between Rasmussen and Lathoris, and that should be enough to hold off position number 3, but the battle for P13 certainly is on right now. Jaume Giroux versus Eric Andre, and Andre looking to lose nothing overall on his decision to go on the one tyre call. Needs to get past Giroux to make that position. Gets the DRS now, tucked in underneath the toe, moves to the left-hand side. Giroux won't have anything to do with it because Eric Andre will very comfortably take that position. Well done there from Eric Andre. He moves up into position 13, and that's a very, very accomplished move, Connery.
Exactly. One tyre call, Jake. I don't think that's a co-an delivery on that McLaren.
Sorry, one stop call there, my mistake. But now, with just 3 laps to go in this event, it seems that these battles are starting to string out just that little bit more. Winkler with a shocker of a lap there because he dropped back quite a bit. 0.6 of a second lost there on that lap alone. And Winkler now stuck 0.8 of a second back and has been struggling again and again and again. But defensive line taken this time, though, from the driver of Ryan Parkins, who doesn't feel confident right now to hold back Carl Winkler. So now, maybe Parkins' tyres have hit a cliff, Connery.
That could possibly be the case because he took the defensive, well, he was looking to take the defensive inside line, even though Carl Winkler didn't really have a run coming out of the curve of Del Sol. So maybe that is a little bit of an insight into what Ryan Parkins is thinking right now. Is Carl Winkler able to follow actually coming through this middle sector, just right over the curb coming into the Pinarino, which isn't really the optimal line coming through there, but he'll get away with it as he's absolutely following underneath the gearbox of Ryan Parkins right now. But can he stay this close coming through Jinsao? It's going to have to be answered right about now, as Carl Winkler going to get a decent run.
Connery, P3, Nicholas Rasmussen's not had the good lap. Lathoris now right in underneath, looking at that podium. It looked completely off, but now to the outside, he'll wait. He doesn't have the ability to do it, and it was a 1:39 from Rasmussen. The tyres are fading on absolutely everyone right now, and those who saved those tyres the best are getting themselves into play. Here comes Lathoris now, the run to the Desquita de Lago here. Defensive line maybe being taken, but no, he wasn't close enough, was Lathoris. With 2 laps to go, he's got an opportunity.
Yeah, but with the dirty air and the old tyres coming through the curve of Del Sol, he wasn't able to go as much on the throttle as he hoped because the car was twitching around all the time coming through that corner. So he wasn't able to get a good run coming off of the curve of Del Sol to make an opportunity coming down into the Desquita de Lago. But maybe he can make an opportunity coming down into turn number 1. He is very, very close as he goes deep on the brakes coming into the Bico to Pato. Still not able to make the opportunity, and Rasmussen's still driving very, very well defensively right now. He has to do it just for the last lap here. We're coming up to the white flag.
White flag lap it is. Ricardo Orozco has already crossed that line to start the final lap, but Evan Lathoris for the podium needs to get past Nicholas Rasmussen, using everything in his arsenal and a little bit more. The Gap SRT driver, this is where you make your money, and a very late defense, and the brakes are held by the driver of Evan Lathoris. He thought about it. Late move from the driver of Nicholas Rasmussen. You can't just do it as simple as that. Rasmussen moved late, and Lathoris will be fuming after that Parkins under pressure from Winkler behind, and even though there is still a lap to go, Ragusa has been hand over fist over Kalistani, 6/10 over that last lap. No move for Lathoris. I think it's over for him, but for Carl Winkler, he's still in play with the battle with Ryan Parkins here as they head out of the Interlagos. Now the run to Ferradura, and Parkins' tyres now starting to look a little bit worse for wear as they head into Ferradura. But for Ricardo Orozco, as he rounds out of Junsao, he's been unchallenged all day. New team or not, he has been absolutely perfect from minute 1 to minute 56, because Ricardo Orozco wins in his home race here at Interlagos. What a result for the Brazilian driver. It will be second for Michael Partington. The podium will surely be Nicholas Rasmussen's, but Ryan Parkins, this is what we'll focus on now. Winkler's got an okay run out of Junsao. Here comes the move then. Needs to be tucked right underneath to get himself that drag race to the line. I don't think he's quite close enough. Ryan Parkins will just hold on, and Kalistani lost it to Giuseppe Ragusa on the final lap, and it was a mistake, Connery, from Kalistani out of the Bico de Pato.
Oh, an absolute shame there for Matteo Kalistani, with his teammate actually winning the race, and he just has to settle for P number 8. As we have a look towards an Eric Andre, he still has another position on the cards right here. These two guys are still racing. This is Christian Steele versus an Eric Andre, and Eric Andre has to make it through the last corner here of Junsao, and he does. And does he get a good enough run? He'll be within the DRS zone. Does he get the toe across the line? He has the slipstream, has to follow as closely as possible, but just a little bit wide coming through the final little kink there. And does he get it towards the line? I think actually Christian Steele's just going to get it by the skin of his teeth. 1 car length. 1 car length and just 0.05 of a second between. And what a brilliant battle towards the end. And with everyone finished, classified results then from the circuit of Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. What a brilliant race that we've had today, but it would be very formulaic at the front of the field because the #1 machine, Positive Sim Racing, its newest recruit in Ricardo Orozco, has taken a monumental victory and one further step towards the title. Michael Partington will come home in 2nd position overall, with Nicholas Rasmussen a brave defence against Evan Lathoris in 3rd. Ryan Parkins then will finish in 5th, with Carl Winkler finishing home in 6th position just behind. Giuseppe Ragusa would steal it away from Kalistani on the last lap. Carl Germanson will finish 9th, and Matteo Ugolotti will round out the top 10. Mark A. Warmington will beat Christian Steele and an Eric Andre to 12th and 13th. The cars that finished the lap down: Jaume Charot, Diego Jimenez Hormilia, Stefan Schmidt and Daniel Cabanillas. And also the vehicles that failed to finish this race: Ashley Howe, Stephen Larkamp, Dennis Branch, Jan Brezina, Martin J. Smith, Gary Larson and Richard Arnaud as well. Stay with us here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to step aside for just one moment. The post-race show coming to you on Racebot TV and iRacing Live in just 1 moment's time.
We had some great scraps towards the final stages of this event, and it proved at every which turn that you can never predict just how quick a driver is going to be from one lap to the next. Some brilliant battling from the likes of Nicholas Rasmussen, Evan Lathoris, Ryan Parkins, Carl Winkler, Giuseppe Ragusa on his charge through his plus 16 day through the field. But there was one driver out and alone who won this one, Ricardo Orozco, car number 1, joining us here right now. Ricardo, that was pretty plain sailing for you here today. You got that victory by 12.5 seconds here. Unchallenged since turn number 1.
Well, for me, it wasn't really just a plain sailing. I really was pushing from the beginning, and yeah, it got tricky to the end with the used tires, but I almost made a mistake at the last corner, but it was a good race. I'm really happy for the win.
Certainly was, and conditions today were really difficult out here. It was 38 degrees on the track, it was hot, people were thinking about the one-stop strategy, but that's what you expect really from Interlagos, isn't it? Blistering heat and blistering tarmac.
Yeah, it was like this the whole week. I think I never entered a session with overcast or something like that, so I was actually pleased to see that it was 38 degrees Celsius on the track, because one of the other sessions were 42, 43 plus. Then this enabled the option of not stopping, and I really pushed for it, and yeah, it's good.
Certainly is, and well, how are you actually finding this season? You're leading the championship, you get a big win, you're going to Spa next week, which is a full race distance of 44 laps. You know, how are you preparing yourself for an event which is very similar and could bring in some iRacing World Championship drivers because of the fact that they're running the race the week after?
It's been a good season so far. I've had good races on the SOFs. I always try to race before to prepare myself, and of course next week with the pros coming in, it's more difficult. And I'm looking forward to it. I've been practicing more and more, and I wasn't this dedicated before, and now I'm trying to give more time to it, and it's paying off. So yeah, really happy for the results.
Certainly is, and of course with a race victory here today, who do you want to thank then, or dedicate this race victory to?
I think basically I recently moved teams, so I'd like to first thank TNT Racing for the time that I spent there. Was a great time. Now I moved to PSR. Javier made me a nice proposal, so I'm really happy to move to PSR, and I would like to thank our sponsors, of course, EC Sim Hardware, Z1 Dashboard, and Raman Health Technology, and everyone that's been supporting me so far.
Not a problem at all. Ricardo Orozco with a fantastic race victory overall here today. Connery, though, Spa in 1 week's time. Just how difficult is that challenge going to be at such an iconic F1 circuit?
Going to be an absolutely fantastic race, as races at Spa-Francorchamps pretty much always are. It's going to be full distance, so we'll have pit stop strategy coming into effect there, as well as it will in a couple of other races at the end of the season at Suzuka and Monza, which are both full distance races as well. I cannot wait.
I cannot wait either, but for the time being, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we're going to have time for here today. A big thank you to all the drivers, to all the teams, and also to all of you watching at home. Big thanks has to go out to Blue Flag Racing for helping to support this broadcast, and everything has been absolutely fantastic here today from Interlagos. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, also going live right now is the 6 Hours of the Glen. Make sure you check into that one here on iRacing Live. Racebot TV doing that. Join Cam, join Alvin in the booth for that. And as always, it has been fantastic to see the racing that has been going on throughout the weeks and into this one. But for the time being, that's been Mr. Connery Maddick, that's been Mr. Paul Smith, and I have been # Do You Mind Jake Sparey. Orozco, another victory, another step towards a championship, and a step to maybe professional qualification. He's certainly seeming to take it a bit more seriously now. Have a good one.